All right. Hi there, and welcome to another live broadcast in the Authentic Married Woman. I just tried to come on live and didn't have my headset on, so I had to get off and restart. But so happy to see you today and happy to be here. My name is Karen Seitz, and I am a coach and a mentor for married women. And what I teach women is how to reclaim their sense of self. One of the biggest complaints that I get from my female clients who come in to work with me is that they feel like they have lost who they are in their marriage with their husband, and don't know who they are anymore. And as a result, when we've lost our sense of self, what happens is that we put the blame for our own unhappiness, because when we don't have ourselves, we can't be happy. And so what happens is we end up putting the blame and projecting our own unhappiness onto our husband, which keeps us really, really trapped, walls sky high, and unable to move forward in our marriage and our lives. So I work with women to teach them how to reclaim their sense of self and drop their walls in their marriage and in their life so they can connect back to who they are and find their happiness internally. So I the women that I am here to serve in this group, and the women that I work with know that they have walls up. They know that they're guarded. They know that they push their husband away. They love their husbands. They just feel really stuck in a rut and they don't know how to move forward. That's who I am here to serve and help. And today I wanted to come on and talk about why your marriage feels so hard. And I love to come on these Thursday videos and talk about the quote that I posted for the week. So this week I posted, "If it is to be, it is up to me." That's the quote that I posted in the group. So I'm going to tie that in to what we're talking about today to help you see a new perspective. What we teach and what our message is about is very, very different than the conventional wisdom that's out there with traditional therapy, with couples counseling, with the books that you read, like The Five Love Languages and His Needs, Her Needs. While those things can be helpful in the short term, they do not allow us to produce long-term permanent changes in our marriage and in our life. They're what we call band-aid approaches. They allow us to work on the symptoms that are showing up in our marriage, like lack of communication, lack of trust, um, intimacy issues, feeling disengaged, or just feeling like your roommates. Those books and traditional counseling work on those symptoms, but what we're about is getting underneath the symptoms to work on the root cause of the issues in your marriage, which is that you have lost your sense of self, that you're unhappy on the inside, and you've got walls up. So that's what we've got to work on. And how that ties into why your marriage feels so hard is what we get stuck in, the myth that we are told, and the approach that we take in working on our marriage is that it takes both partners working together to have a healthy, happy marriage, and that it's 50-50. We've both got to do our part. And that's what we've been taught. But if you look around in the group and you look through the comments, you look through the posts, that I make, the member post, you'll see how many of you are really stuck using those traditional methods and not getting to that deeper core issue, that it doesn't work to have both partners working on the marriage in 50-50. That's why your marriage feels so hard, because what that creates is a codependency. If my husband is doing his part, if he's speaking my love language, if he's reading the books with me, if he's going to counseling with me, then I will do my part and I will do the things. But if not, then I'm not going to do anything, because him not doing his part is creating the issues in our marriage. And why would I put anything in? And it just keeps us stuck in going around in circles. It doesn't work. And those methods do not work. They give us short-term solutions, like I said, to the symptoms, but then those symptoms come right back up. So we've got to try something new. And it's those very things, that myth that we've been fed that it takes two partners and working 50-50 on a marriage for things to work. That's why your marriage feels so hard. Like I said, it creates a codependency. Your happiness and your state of well-being is then in the hands of your husband. And say he's struggling. Say he's going through a hard time, say it's not really who he is to speak your love language, that he has to change into someone he is not to make you feel happy. You can't depend on that. So you have to put 100% into yourself to work to change the only person you have any control over to change, which is yourself. And when you're willing to do that and you're ready to change and you have the right tools and the right blueprint to do that, to take 100% responsibility for yourself and put the focus on you, again, like I said, using the right tools and strategies, then you will begin to see that reflected back into your marriage, or your marriage will begin to reflect that back to you. And then things will feel so much easier, so much more effortless, and will not feel so hard. And that takes hard work. It takes a willingness to commit to yourself, to work on yourself, to look in the mirror, to see how you are showing up, and trusting that if you show up differently and you do the work to drop your walls, you do the work to find your happiness within yourself, your husband, who's a good man, will step up with you, and he will reflect something totally different back to you. And that's what we're really talking about today. So let's first look at what the problem is. What's really going on that we have to look at, and I try to give you different angles for you to see yourself, that the issues within yourself, the limitations that you might not be aware of. They might be really unconscious, because the thing is, when we get stuck in blame and we get so focused on what the problems are in our husband, we cannot see ourselves. We do not have any self awareness to see the choices and decisions we are making, the limiting thoughts and beliefs that we are living in, how we're showing up, how we feel about ourselves on the inside, that are creating the marriage that we have. We have no awareness of those things because we are disillusioned, thinking that it is our husband's. And so we can't see those things. So what I try to do in these videos is to give you different angles to look at things within yourself that you might not be aware of, and that's okay. These things do not make you bad or wrong. It does not mean there's something wrong with you. This is our humanness. These are the things that go on underneath the surface that we are unable to see until we get the context, and still until somebody holds that mirror up to show us these things within ourselves, and give us a glimpse into the things we might not be seeing. Until that happens, we can't see these things. So I bring these things up and want you to look within yourself to see how these things might be true for you, so that you have a place to step forward from and be empowered, so that you're not stuck in these issues. You're not stuck feeling miserable. So you're not stuck feeling like roommates. And so you have a path forward, that at least you kind of have a direction to look within yourself to see the things that you have control over to change, that have a direct impact on your marriage. So, what I want to help you see today, the problem that a lot of times goes unseen and remains unconscious, that makes marriage feel so hard, that gets us stuck in the issues that we are having, is that unconsciously we live in a fairy tale. When it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationships, we really buy into this idea that and want to continue to believe, whether we're aware of it or we're not. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But we really want to believe that marriage is supposed to be happily ever after, that it's supposed to be one continuous romantic date night like you had in the beginning, that you're supposed to be have those butterflies and that kind of drunken love feeling all the time that you had in the beginning of your relationship with your husband. We live in the fantasy and want to believe that our husband is supposed to be this knight in shining armor and he's there to protect us and validate us and make us feel better emotionally and to anticipate our needs and speak our love language and make us feel like the most special woman in the whole wide world. Either consciously or unconsciously, we live in that fairy tale, or we really want marriage to be that. And I did not want to admit that. I did not want to admit that I lived in a fairy tale, that I wanted my husband to be my knight in shining armor, that I wanted marriage to be happily ever after. I didn't want to know those things about myself. I didn't want to see that because I really believe that I was the strong, independent woman. I don't need a man. I am good. I do what I need to do for myself. And I lived in that facade. And I see that time and time again with the women that I work with. And deep down, and not sometimes not so deep down, sometimes they're very aware of it. We know we have that facade. We know that that we put that front up, but that on the inside, that's not really what's going on. And so we're incongruent with who we say that we are. So, like I said, I wanted to believe that I was the strong, independent woman. I don't need a man. I've got myself. And that was the facade I lived in. But deep down, I really did have this fairy tale and really did hold on to this belief that my marriage was just supposed to happen, that we were going to be happily ever after, that once we got married, it was just going to be so wonderful forever. And that's not the truth. That's not the reality of life. It's not the reality of what a marriage is. Um, and and when this is going down, it's almost like we wake up one day and we wonder, how did I get here? What happened to that connection that I had with my husband? Why do I feel so unhappy, or why do I feel so exhausted? And I just feel like I'm pretending. I feel like I've got this plastic smile on my face all the time, and that's not how I really feel on the inside. I'm exhausted from having to keep up the facade, from having to convince others that I've got it all together, that I'm a super mom, a super wife, doing it all, and just happy to the brim. That's what we get stuck in, and we wake up one day, and it's like, how did you get here? How did you end up here? And what happened to that connection that you had with your husband? And why do you feel like a roommate? Why do you feel ignored by him and unappreciated and trapped in your marriage and feeling undesirable and unattractive? How did your marriage get to a place where it's a sexless marriage, or you're just going through the motions and sex isn't really any fun anymore and it's just robotic? This is where we end up, and then we feel resentful and bitter because it's like, this isn't what it was supposed to be. This is not what you signed up for. And it feels so frustrating because we don't have the awareness of how we ended up there. We don't have the roadmap or the blueprint on how to get out of it. And we just spiral there. Or, and this is what I did, and I see this a lot, is we pretend everything is great. We put on the rose-colored glasses. I call this the happy pill. It's not an actual pill, it's just a figure of speech. Um, but we take the happy pill. We put on the rose-colored glasses. We don't look at the issues. We pretend everything is great. We create a fantasy. We create a fantasy life. We create a fantasy marriage. And on the inside, somewhere deep within us, we know something's not quite right. And my clue for that in my life was that I was constantly seeking. I went to individual therapy. My husband and I did couples counseling. I was trying every workshop under the sun, every new book, it was on my bookshelf. Um, I did all the spiritual practices. I did all the right things. And then I one day I kind of woke up and was like, wait, if these things were working, I wouldn't still be seeking. I wouldn't still be adding all of this on. And I had to bust open that happy pill because I didn't have any substance. My marriage didn't have any substance. I was just pretending. And on the inside, when I got honest with myself, I felt really stuck and really unhappy. Always wishing for more, always wanting something else. And that's what happens when we want the fairy tale. Again, we either know we're miserable and we're bitter and we're resentful of where we've ended up in our marriage. It's not what we signed up for. It's not what it was supposed to look like. We're stuck in all those issues, feeling ignored, unappreciated in the roommate cycle, sexless marriage, or robotic sex that's not fun anymore. We feel trapped, undesirable, unattractive, and we're stuck in that, and we feel that, and we know it's there, but we're blaming our husbands or thinking it's something outside of us, which we have zero control over. Or we get stuck in the happy pill, rose-colored glasses, pretending everything is fine, which is an exhausting place to be because it feels like you've got to maintain everything. And happy from that place ends up being about feeling happy and having all the energy and being bubbly and constantly having a smile on your face. And so happiness feels daunting because it's like, how are you supposed to maintain that? How are you supposed to always be on top and have all that energy and be that happy and have it all together? It's a fantasy. So again, from either of these places, you continue to live in a fantasy and you either create that fantasy and you really buy into it and you sell it really well to others, or you cling to the fantasy but your life and your marriage doesn't look like that. So you end up bitter, resentful, angry, and in blame, constantly looking outside of yourself to your husband, to all the factors outside of you that you have no control over. So, what do we need to do? What do you need to do to get out of this? What do you need to do to step into your marriage, to step into your life so it does not feel so hard? So you do feel like you're in the driver's seat. So you do feel like you have the answers and you know how to navigate your life and you know how to navigate your marriage. Because, ladies, it's up to you. It is up to you to know how to navigate yourself, how to navigate your marriage, how to navigate your life in a way that brings you joy and fulfillment and feeling like you are in charge of yourself and in charge of your life. It's up to you. No one's going to do that for you. And so the solution, this is where the quote comes in from this week, that if it is to be, it is up to me. So I am here to tell you, as hard as it is to hear sometimes, I get it. I thought I wanted to hear this, but deep down, I didn't really want to let it in. I wasn't really living it because I still wanted deep down my husband to be the one to take care of me, my husband to be the one to provide, my husband to be my knight in shining armor. Although I would not admit that because that would bust my facade that I was this strong, independent woman. But as soon as I was willing to admit that, that's where it could be up to me. And I could put in the hard work to make my life and my marriage what I wanted it to be. And that's the same ability you have. It is within you. I am here to tell you, you are not missing anything to turn your life around, to turn your marriage around, to turn you around and create what you really want. It's in you. If I can do it, hands down, I promise you can do it. I was a mess. I was an absolute mess and made a chaotic life for myself. And if I can pull myself out of that and figure out me and figure out how complicated I'd made my marriage and my life and my different relationships, I am here to tell you that you can do it too. But you have to be willing to adopt a new perspective. You've got to be willing to change your mindset, how you view life, your perspective on life, whether you're willing to persevere or not, or have resilience. It's in you. So the solution is to have it be up to you, that if it is to be the life, the marriage you want, it is up to you. I promise you that. And when you are married to a good man, and how we define a good man. And you might not see this in him right now because the problems have built over the years and you've had your walls up and you've pushed them away. And so if you know that about yourself, if you know you have your walls up, if you know you've pushed your husband away, if you know that you don't show up very well and that you feel kind of shut in or shut out, I want you to listen carefully. When you are married to a good man, which we define as a man who is responsible, hardworking, good natured, good intentioned, kind, thoughtful. And I want you to think back on the man you married because, like I said, you might not be experiencing your husband that way because of the problems that have built over the years. And what a good man does when we have our walls up and we're pushing him away and we're keeping him at arm's length, What a good man does is he withdraws from the relationship. He shuts down. He reacts to our walls. They internalize that they're not doing it right, that they've done something wrong, and that they are responsible for our unhappiness. Because either consciously or unconsciously, we have made them feel that way. And that's not bad or wrong. It's just dynamics. It's just what happens. And that's a new way to think about things. So you have all the control and power with a good man because he wants to step up. He wants to be who he is as a good man. He wants to be kind and thoughtful. He wants to provide. He wants to be responsible in the relationship. He wants that connection with you. But you have to be willing to go first and drop your walls and do the hard work to take responsibility for your happiness and to understand what that actually is, because it is not about feeling happy. It is about a deep acceptance of who you are and a deep acceptance of your life. You just want to be you and you just want the life you have. And nobody can do that for you but you. Your husband cannot do that for you. It will be a cold day in hell before he can do that for you. You have to do that work. And when you do, it is like magic. When you do the work to drop your walls, you do the work to take responsibility for your happiness and take that burden off of your husband to provide this fairy tale fantasy marriage, and you do the hard work on yourself, a good man will step up with you. And all of a sudden, you will start to see him as those qualities, as responsible, as hardworking, as good intentioned, as good natured, as kind, as thoughtful, as caring, as the man that you married, the man you wanted to spend the rest of your life with. When you do that hard work, he will step up and re-engage with the marriage because he will respond to your changes. And that's why if you just work on yourself with the right blueprint, the right tools, the right strategy, that's exactly what will happen. So the solution is if you want the fairy tale, if you want that happily ever after, and you want that connection, then you have to do the work. If it is to be, it is up to you. And so you have to take responsibility to have personal integrity, to do the things you know you need to be doing to create the life that you want, to create the marriage that you want. You've got to look in the mirror because your marriage is a reflection of you and the relationship you have with yourself. So I want you to think about, I've brought this up a few times, but we need these reminders. I want you to think about what you're not getting in your marriage that you want to be getting. Maybe you feel like you come last. Maybe you feel like your husband doesn't make quality time for you. Maybe you feel empty and you have nothing left to give. Maybe you feel undesirable, underappreciated. You don't get enough attention. And I want you to start to be honest with yourself because we've all got a good story. We've all got a good story that we do these things for ourselves. But I promise if you're willing to look in the mirror and you're willing to be honest with yourself, you're going to see something different. I want you to think about how well do you do with you in your relationship with yourself, putting you first, making yourself feel like a priority, making quality time to be with yourself, not to be alone or by yourself, but with yourself. Engaged quality time with yourself. How well are you at appreciating who you are? What's your self talk like internally? What's your internal dialogue? Do you beat yourself up? Do you criticize yourself? Do you feel bad about yourself? Um, how well are you at giving yourself that attention of desiring yourself? And if you're willing to be honest with yourself, you just might find you're lacking in those departments in your relationship with yourself. I was there. I get it. And my marriage reflected that back to me. I felt all those things you feel, feeling stuck in roommate land, feeling underappreciated, ignored, unseen, all of those things. And that was a direct reflection of my relationship with myself. So if that's what you're getting in your marriage, that's a reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. So you've got to start with you, and it's called personal integrity. Are you being the person for yourself that you are demanding and asking your husband to be for you? And if not, that is where you have to start. That's where you have to put 100% of your focus, not on the marriage, not on the symptoms that this is creating, but just on you. And when you do that with the right intentions and an open heart and a willingness to do the hard work and change, then something very different is going to get reflected back into your marriage. When you're filling your own cup, when you're making yourself a priority, when you're appreciating who you are and being kind to yourself, and you're with a good man, I promise you that you will see that reflected back to you from your marriage and your husband. And that's why this works so well. You don't have to drag your husband to counseling. You don't have to get him to read the books. You don't have to get him to speak your love language. When you're doing what you need to do for yourself and you're married with a good man, he's naturally going to show up who he is as a good man, and you can appreciate him and accept him for who he is, not needing him to be anybody else. And you will feel like newlyweds again. You will have a wonderful marriage, that is perfect for you, that you enjoy, that's rewarding. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it's a lot easier because all you need to do is work on yourself, and then you and your husband can grow together. You will naturally step up. The problem is we have to go first, and that's a tough pill to swallow, because it's like, well, how will I know if this is going to work? How do I know if I'm going to experience that? Or you maybe think I'm already doing that, or I already tried that and it didn't work. And if you are with a good man and you think you've been trying that and it didn't work, you're not using the right strategy. You're not using the right tools, and you need a new perspective and you need a new approach. So you've got to start being the person for you that you want your husband to be, and you have to stop thinking that your marriage, and your relationship with your husband is just supposed to happen. And you've got to give yourself what you want, and you have to do it for yourself. That's another key piece. You have to do this for you, not for your marriage, not for your husband, not to get back what you want or what you think you deserve. You have to be willing to put in that hard work for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be resentful, you're going to be bitter, and it's not going to work. You have to do it for you because you want a better life. You want a better marriage. You want better relationships. You want your hopes and dreams to come true. You want to start having hopes and dreams again, and be the wonderful, empowered woman that's in you. She's in there. She's just covered up. And you've got to do the work to uncover her, to remember who you are, or get to know yourself for the first time. When I started doing this for myself, I had no clue who I was. I had never really known, and I didn't know who I was. So I had to do the work for the first time to get to know myself. And there's nothing more rewarding or more fulfilling than doing that for yourself. I can promise you, there's nothing your husband can do for you or anyone else to make you feel as good as you can feel when you do that work for yourself. I promise. And when you do it for yourself, then what you get to experience in your marriage and your other relationships is amazing. And that's there waiting for you. So just seeing real quick if there's anything else that I missed that I want to add. So just in summarizing, what I wanted to come on and talk to you today about, is one, busting the myth that it's 50-50, and that you and your partner both have to be working on the marriage to create what you want. It's not true. It doesn't work. That's why we have a 50% divorce rate in our country. Um, it's not working, ladies. We need a new approach. And so if it is to be, it is up to you. That's the quote for this week, that you've got to do the hard work for yourself to see the changes that you want in your marriage, in your life. And when you do, it will be so rewarding and so fulfilling, unlike anything you have ever known. And I do want to give you just a reminder that that's why our three principles, what sets the framework for this group and what I teach, are so powerful, because it does put you in the driver's seat. They do allow you to take the reins of your life and create what you want, to have hopes and dreams, to work hard, to do the things you don't want to do that you know you need to do, to get to the fun parts. That was a hard lesson for me to realize. In order to get to all the fun parts, I had to do things I didn't want to do. I had to be a grown up, responsible adult. And that when we do those hard things we don't want to do and we put in the hard work, that's when we get to the fun part. That's when we get to do things we love, and that fill us up like nothing else. And that's what our three principles really set forth, the ability to be able to do. That one, you are 100% responsible for your happiness. Two, you are the only person that you can change. And three, what it means to be authentic and the path to dropping your walls is having a relationship with yourself and feeling good about who you are. And if you can learn to apply those in your life, watch out. You're going to be unstoppable. You're gonna solve those symptoms that are showing up in your marriage, and you're going to create a life that you love. That's absolutely perfect for you. So if that's you, if you know you have your walls up, if you know you push your husband away, if you're married, if you know you are married to a good man and you love him, but you're just stuck and you don't know what else to do, you've tried the books, you've tried the therapy, you've listened to all the podcasts, you've gone to all the workshops, and you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired where you are at, then let's talk. I will help you get crystal clear on why what you are doing is not working and help you get out of the stories that you've been stuck in so you can see the truth of what's really going on. I will help you craft a step by step game plan to finding happiness within yourself and getting the results that you want in your marriage and your life. And you might want to see if we're a good fit to work together, and that's great. If not, that's fine too. I promise this will be the best hour that you have spent on yourself and your marriage in a long time. Sometimes just being able to talk things through, to see things we're not seeing. That's what this is about, to give you clarity, to give you a path forward and see what will work for you. And I will be honest with you if I can't help you get to where you want to get to. If your marriage is at a place where I can't help, I will be honest with you in that I am looking for women who know they have their walls up, who want to do the hard work to be happy on the inside, who are ready to take their walls down, who are decisive and committed and coachable. So if that's you, then I want you to go to anewlc.com/talk and pick a time to talk with me, and we'll get on the phone for about an hour and get you crystal clear on those things. So I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here and being part of this group. Um, just a reminder to keep focusing on the things that you can change, and in your comments and your posts, see what's going on with you. Ask questions about the things you're stuck with in yourself. That's what we're here to help you with. And just keep being you. If I can help you in any way, I am here. And I hope you all have a great day and a great rest of your week. And I will be back next week with more videos. So thanks so much and see you soon. Bye.